How to create project codes in Dynamics 365. Let's have a look. All right, so we are going to create a code from an opportunity. Now, in this case, we are going to use the opportunity that we had created in episode 10. So if you want to have a look, you can have a look at that particular video as well. So let's just click on the change area and click on sales and then click on opportunities. And in my open project service opportunities, I have this opportunity that I had created earlier. So let's just open that. So once you're satisfied that you have all the details over here, you can come on to the codes tab and you can see that there is no code available yet, which it has been created from an opportunity. So now you can create as many codes as you want out of an opportunity. So what you can do is click on new code. Now, as you can see over here, a new code has been created where the title of the code has been taken from the opportunity and a new code ID has been created as well. And you can see that most of the details over here have been copied from the opportunity itself, which further reduces the effort to put in all these details again. Now, in this case, you might need to put the requested delivery date because your customer might need to know when you're going to finish this project. So maybe you can say that, okay, you're going to do that by June 30th and then click on save. And the other thing that you might notice that the revision ID is 0. Going forward with the code, you might have situations where you need to revise the code. Since this is the first code that is created, that's why the revision ID is 0. So when you revise a code, a new version of that code is created and this revision ID is increments by 1. Okay, now if you go to the code lines, now over here you will note that all the project based lines and product based lines have been copied from the opportunities as well. If you go to the project price list, you can see that the project price list is also copied. You can also see some other things like profitability analysis. So you can see total chargeable, total non-chargeable, total revenue, gross margin and all. And there are some graphics involved as well. And if you want, you can also see comparison to customer expectation, whether it exceeds the customer budget or it, within the budget or not. So those kind of metrics you can see here as well. And also you can do code analysis, which shows the profitability of gross margin, adjust gross. So the most important thing that we are going to work over here is the code lines, which are project based lines and product based lines. So in the product based lines, for example, these are all copied from the opportunity. Of course, you are going to talk to your customer and make changes in the code as well. So if you want to make change, you can select the lines and click on edit. And over here, you can make changes to the lines as you discuss with the customer. So that function is available for you to edit the lines after the code is created. If you go back here, let's just go into the project based lines now. So let me select the Business Central implementation service that we are selling and let me click on the edit. So we can go ahead and start adding details to the project based lines itself. And within that line, which is project-based implementation services, it has many tabs. The general tab, obviously you can see that most of the information has been copied over here. It's time and material, and you can see that the system also has these three options: include time, include expense, and include fees, which means that while you are creating this code, have you included the time, have you considered the expense, and have you considered the fee? So you can specify that yes or no. So let's say we have included time, yes. We have included the expense, no we have not. And have you included the fee? Yes. So again, we have the quoted amount that we are quoting to the customer and the customer budget. Invoice frequency, again, we can select the frequency over here. Let me select monthly. That is the monthly billing that we have to do to the customer. So it's important that you select this particular field, otherwise the invoice will not be generated. Then the billing start date, we can mention, okay, let's start with April 1st and then click on save. Now if we go to another tab, chargeable roles, for this particular code line, you will see that all the chargeable roles have been copied from the project price list that we had attached. And now we can go to the code line details. Now this is the details of the code line Business Central implementation services that we are selling. So we have mentioned the service that we are selling to the customer, but what is within that service? Like what is there within Business Central implementation? So those details can be added over here. Like how many hours will you need for a resource for this implementation purpose? So those kind of details you can add over here. And to do that, you can click on a new code line detail. So let's just start adding the roles over here. So let me just say it's project management. We can select the role as project manager over here. Now remember, we are not talking about the actual resource. We are talking about the role, and we are specifying that for this particular implementation, this particular role would require this much amount of time. So we are adding those kind of details, right? Because we are quoting, and we can specify the start and end date, and the resourcing unit is Tech Quantum AU, the unit schedule is time, and the unit is hour. We can specify, okay, for this particular implementation, a project manager would give somewhere around 200 hours. All right, so those kind of details we can specify over here and then click on save and close. So similarly, I have gone ahead and added more roles over here. So you can see that we have project manager, functional consultant, technical consultant, and business analyst. They are all chargeable. The transaction class is time, and the resourcing unit is Tech Quantum AU. The start and end dates are defined. The quantity is in hours that we have defined. The price are coming automatically from the price list, and the amount that we are going to charge to the customer, which is automatically calculated. Now, the next thing that we are going to do is we have to specify the invoice schedule, for which we can use this function called generate invoice schedule. But in order for this to function, you need to make sure that in the General tab, you have specified the invoice frequency and the billing start date. So we have just specified a sample billing start date over here. And let's just go to the invoice schedule and click on this function. And over here, the system has generated the invoice schedule for your project based on the monthly cycle and the invoice start date. Okay, so if you go to the General tab, you will see that this is the actual quoted amount after tax that we are going to quote to the customer, charge to the customer. And obviously this depends on the chargeable roles and hours that you have defined over here. And if you want to make any changes to the hours, you can definitely go ahead and do that. Or if you want to add more code line details, more roles over here, and the charges, you can do that as well. And the charge to the customer will be updated accordingly. Similarly, we come back to our code lines, and then we edit the project expense code line as well. And over here you will see that we have some details which were already copied. I have already specified that the time is not included and the fee is not included. The expense is included for this particular code line. And the invoice frequency is monthly, and the billing start date, I've just specified a date over here, and the customer budget is available. The categories are available. These are the expenses which are specified in the project price list that was attached to the quote. So these are automatically coming from there. Now, if you go to the code line detail over here, you will see that I have already specified some expenses for airfare, hotel, and meals, the same way that I had edited the code lines for the implementation service. So in this case, the difference is that this is an expense and the quantity is specified, the price, and the amount is being calculated. Once this is done, again, you can go to the invoice schedule, and then there will be a function to generate the schedule automatically, and which I have already done using this function, and the system has automatically generated the invoice schedule based on the invoice frequency and the billing start date that you have specified. All right, so once this is done, you can click on save and then go back to the code. So this is how you create a code from an opportunity and edit the project base and the product base lines according to the customer requirements and what you want to code to the customer. Why don't you go ahead and try it out for yourself?